Back to an election scenario that we've been talking about here on the show, that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been mobilizing Democrats for in recent weeks. The possibility that neither Joe Biden nor President Donald Trump will win an outright electoral college victory, which would result in the House intervening. Speaker Pelosi described it last month right here on Morning Joe.
One of the possibilities that he would declare victory on election night and say the vote by mail doesn't count. I won by those who voted in person. Secondly, that he would then have some of his allies in states send electoral college folks who say Biden wins the state, and it's a Republican legislature and state, and they would say, well, we're sending Trump electors. Well, we take that to court. That takes time. Even if you win in court, it takes time, and if you don't have the Electoral College number, the majority by a certain date, the Constitution says the House shall choose. The House of Representatives voting by state. So he has 26 votes. We have 22. 2 are even. So it's important for us to make sure, as the Constitution says, nobody has a majority in the House, because it's very clear the winner is the person with a majority in the House. So we just have to take them down one vote. We'd rather have the 26 ourselves, but we just have to take him down one vote.
Longtime media executive and editor-at-large at Newsweek, Tom Rogers, has been for months warning about this very scenario and has offered a way for Democrats to avoid the election playing out in Trump's favor this way. Tom Rogers joins us once again right now, along with 3 congressional candidates in districts that Tom says could determine the presidency. For Pennsylvania's 1st, Dr. Christina Finello. For Michigan's 3rd, Hillary Scholten. And for Florida's 16th, Margaret Good. Tom, let's begin with you, if you could get out the chalkboard, so to speak, and explain very clearly how this could play out in Trump's favor if this scenario were to happen.
Well, thanks for having me, Mika. Well, the first order of business, of course, is to make the vote too big to rig. But Donald Trump has made very clear that they're going to challenge mail-in ballots, and very few believe that the new Supreme Court with Judge Barrett on it is going to step in and stop that. And Trump has actually said, ultimately, Congress will make this decision. And as Speaker Pelosi just laid out, the problem is today, if that vote occurred on the current composition of the House, Trump would win that vote 26-22, even though the Democrats have a major majority in the House today. That is a state-by-state delegation where the number of representatives that are Republican versus Democrat in each state determines how that state votes. And as a result, when the new Congress convenes, which is the Congress that would have this question before them, if it actually goes this far under the 12th Amendment, the Democrats have to flip 4 states. 3 of those 4 states are Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And you have today 3 terrific women candidates representing each of those states, Florida, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. And it only takes 1 congressional seat pickup in each of those states to flip those state delegations. So these individual races are absolutely crucial if the Democrats are going to have a blue firewall against this Trump challenge. So these races are truly of national significance.
So let's pull up the 3 candidates here, Christina, Hillary, and Margaret. No pressure at all, ladies. Dr. Christina Finello, what is your campaign running on, and how is it going?
That's great. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm running in Pennsylvania's 1st district, which is Bucks and Montgomery County. It's in the Philadelphia suburbs. You know, I have deep roots here. I grew up in a working class family. I understand the challenges of this district because I've lived them. I have a daughter with pre-existing conditions, and I'm still paying off my student loans. And we have a congressman right now who's made our lives much harder here in this district. He has sided with Donald Trump on taking away health care for people with pre-existing conditions. He sided with Trump on limiting reproductive freedom, and he has sided with Trump on voting for the Trump tax bill. When the GOP and Trump need him the most, my opponents buy their side. And we can win this race. You know, we can bring change to Washington. Our district is ripe to flip. We are one of 3 districts that Hillary Clinton won in 2016 that's still held by a Republican incumbent. And momentum's on our side. We just got a poll yesterday that shows us up by a point, and Biden's leading by double digits. So if we want to send a message to end this Trump agenda, we have to flip this district and replace Brian Fitzpatrick with me, Christina Finello. If you want to help us out, go to FinelloForCongress.com and help us flip this seat and flip the Pennsylvania delegation.
Hillary Scholten, how much does coronavirus play a role in what you're talking to voters about, and how is your campaign going there? What's your main issue?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Mika. It's a pleasure to be here. The coronavirus is top of everyone's mind, not only the lingering threat of that pandemic, but the economic fallout. A district like mine, where the average income for a family of 4 is around $50,000 a year, this has been a devastating 2020. Healthcare is top of mind for so many because of the pandemic, and because related to the recession, we've got 5.4 million Americans without health insurance. I can't go to the grocery store without people talking to me about just how important it is that we protect people with pre-existing conditions, lower the cost of care. Our campaign is on fire. We are up by 2 points in the polls, on the brink of making history here by electing the first Democrat in almost 50 years, the first woman ever to represent this district. People are excited. We're building something new here in West Michigan. I wasn't born and raised in a Democratic household, and but have come to see that the time is now for change. And that's really the story of West Michigan. It is Kent County, the heart of my district, is considered a real bellwether for this election. And as Tom was mentioning, it is literally one of the most crucial seats to flip in order to make sure that we can prevent Trump from winning in Michigan again in 2020. It matters deeply to people on the ground. This could be one of the very first votes I cast as a representative for Michigan's 3rd congressional district. So we're working hard here to win this seat. Anybody who's interested in learning more and getting involved, feel free to check us out at HillaryScholten.com.
Margaret Good, how is your race going? You're in Florida. As it pertains to the coronavirus, is there an issue with how people are getting their news? I mean, it's hard enough to grapple with your opponent, but are you also struggling with people understanding the facts?
Well, people want to live in a healthy and a safe and a civil society. And unfortunately, that is not where we are right now. People are sick. They're financially insecure. They cannot look to the government because Trump is not taking this virus seriously. He is downplaying the importance of it. And our current congressman, my opponent, Vern Buchanan, has been named one of the most corrupt members of Congress 5 times, and he is in lockstep with President Trump. He's voted to gut health care, to cut Medicare, to allow insurance companies to drop people with pre-existing conditions. And we deserve so much better. And the seniors in this district, they aren't having it. They have seen their friends get sick. They fear for their own health, and they're scared and isolated. And this is a district that is one of the oldest districts in the country. And that's why we have seen this shift in voting. Our polling has us statistically tied with our opponent.
Wow.
So we are working hard to flip this seat and make sure that we bring accountability to Washington. And Florida, as you know, is one of the most important states. This is Trump's path to re-election to the White House. And if we stop him in Florida, we stop this chaos. We bring normalcy and decency back to this country.
All right, 3 women looking to flip seats in what could be the most vital districts in the country. Dr. Christina Finello, Hillary Scholten, Margaret Good, thank you all. And we should mention that we've reached out to each of their opponents to offer interviews as well. Tom Rogers, thank you for staying on this. And